Up next on Eco Company,
we're catching up with some teens who aren't afraid to get a little dirty.
Well, I just wanted to come here, represent my school, and clean up this Redwood Grove so more people could use it and show its beauty to the world.
We're heading into the forest to catch up with these guys. They're protecting some of the biggest trees on the planet, giant redwoods.
plus where do you get your inspiration?
Animals consume them, they're forever, they don't break up, and it's our job to basically just prevent these animals from getting harmed by these plastics.
These guys found theirs on the beach, where they learned about plastic pollution. Now they're telling their classmates about it too.
And wondering what's up with the ozone layer these days?
We do have a hole in the ozone layer that opens up and closes in the South Pole, but it got bigger and bigger as we were pumping chlorofluorocarbons up in the atmosphere.
We were, so we headed to NASA to find out. Eco Company
starts now. Thanks for tuning into Eco Company. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Jordan.
And we've been getting some nice fresh air.
We're at a Redwood Grove in Los Altos, California.
This grove's been around since the 1920s, but it's seen better days.
We're checking in with some teens who are doing something about it.
Let's get the scoop and see if we can lend a hand.
We are going to work you guys today.
It's Saturday morning, but you won't find these guys sleeping in.
Grab a shovel or loppers or clippers.
Instead, they're grabbing gloves and garden tools. These teens are members of Brick Brothers, a club at St. Francis High School in Mountain View, California. And they've decided to spend part of their weekend pitching in to restore this Redwood Grove. Greg Guslani heads up the club.
I used to come down here when I was younger for birthday parties and all that stuff, and then it kind of started to go downhill, and so it interested me to restore it, get it back to what it used to be.
Over the years, the grove's developed two big problems. One, plants that don't belong here are taking over the area.
We came down here last year and I saw it, and it was all just covered in ivy and just didn't look half as what it used to be.
Two, the creek's bank's in bad shape and could easily flood. It's a situation that threatens the entire ecosystem, and it's something that these teens are here to do something about.
What we want to do is try to dig up the blackberry. This is the Himalayan blackberry here.
Junko Bryant is a restoration director with Actera, the nonprofit group that's organized this ongoing project.
This is one of our projects here, and we bring a lot of, obviously, students and community members out to pull weeds and plant plants.
Neil Ramachandran and Anshul Sitaram are both hard at work.
What made you want to come out here?
Just to help the environment. This is kind of like in our backyards. Well, I just wanted to come here, represent my school, and clean up this Redwood Grove so more people could use it and show its beauty to the world.
One of their tasks is to get these unwanted plants out of here.
Got it. We just want to take them out so that native plants can regrow here.
The Himalayan blackberry is an invasive plant.
Invasive species threaten the biodiversity by outcompeting native plants that support our wildlife.
Those native plants provide food, like seeds and berries, that birds and other wildlife rely on to survive. All the way down to this guy, the banana slug. Time to give these guys a hand. And it definitely takes a muscle to get all the way down to the roots.
This is the deepest root I've ever dug.
Okay, so getting rid of invasive plants isn't just about protecting wildlife. It's also about protecting these.
The other thing they were concerned about down here that is the health of the redwoods.
These giants need all the water they can get, but invasives absorb a lot of the water in the ground. This is what the redwoods need.
If you look out amongst the trees, there's plants under the trees, there's a ton of leaf litter, which we call duff, under the redwoods, and that's like a good layer of mulch. It feeds the soil, it helps the soil absorb water better.
Now it's time for Operation Creek Bank. It's also been a victim of invasives because their roots don't go deep enough to stabilize the soil. These guys are solving that problem like this. They're shoring up the creek bank using trees.
We were cutting down branches from a willow tree and we're putting them into the ground over that hill to help erosion so it doesn't all collapse.
If you want to come in here and cut
They're chopping them into 3 and 4 foot pieces. The whole idea is to plant them along the bank where they'll grow into trees. Joan Dudney is also with Acterra.
The roots grow really deep and they create a network on the bank that will hold the soil in when there's flash floods or even rain.
Oh, so these will actually grow once they're put in? Wow.
The stakes will grow into new willows if we plant them correctly.
It's definitely work that requires your complete concentration.
You gotta make sure your aim is on for this one.
So from cutting down trees to staking them into the ground and digging up these, it's all in a Saturday morning's work for these guys.
Everyone's kind of in their own shell these days, so just trying to help nature and help these trees continue to grow.
Weekend warriors leaving their mark on the planet.
Redwoods have been around for thousands of years, dating back to the age of the dinosaurs. But there aren't so many around anymore. I'm here to talk to a researcher about what the future holds for these majestic giants. They're the biggest trees in the world, some towering 25 stories tall. But climate change threatens them all. They're redwoods, descendants of a group of conifers that flourished more than 144 million years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Redwoods are the longest living organisms and the tallest organisms on the planet.
Today, only 3 types remain. The giant sequoia, which can live the longest at more than 3,000 years, the coast redwood, and the dawn redwood. Thought to be extinct until 1944, when it was found in China. You can find all but the dawn redwood in the western U.S., mostly along the Pacific coast.
Today, only 5% of what we call old-growth redwood forests exist. So we would consider redwoods a very highly endangered ecosystem.
The rest has been logged.
Redwood is such a fantastic building material that in less than 100 years, 95% of the original redwood forests in California were destroyed.
Dr. Healy Hamilton is a biodiversity scientist at the California Academy of Sciences.
I do all kinds of research about how to conserve the diversity of life.
She's using state-of-the-art technology to come up with detailed maps that predict how climate changes will affect redwood habitats in the years to come.
Our research is trying to examine what climate models say about where the climate that redwoods need to survive might exist in the future, and especially trying to identify places where the climate won't change that much, a place that we might call a climate refuge for redwoods in the future.
How does fog and the climate affect redwoods?
You know, researchers at UC Berkeley have discovered that fog accounts for almost half of the moisture that a redwood tree needs to survive. So that's one reason that they cling to this really narrow stretch of the California coast.
This map shows the current state of ancient redwood forests, and this map shows the best-case scenario for the future.
All climate models are run under different scenarios of how human society will respond to greenhouse gases. Are we going to work really hard to reduce them, or are we just going to have a business-as-usual future?
And what would happen if all the redwoods went extinct?
You'd lose an entire ancient forest ecosystem. You'd lose what many people have described as nature's cathedral. And all the plants and animals that depend on this ecosystem would disappear as well. We would have less richness in the diversity of life around us.
It's an ecosystem she's passionate about saving, and she says it's up to us all to protect these living giants.
If we don't do very much to reduce greenhouse gases as a global community, if we don't make this a priority, it's pretty grim for redwoods and a lot of other species. There's not a lot of room left for them. They can't adapt fast enough to how fast the climate will change under a business-as-usual scenario.
It's a scenario that we can prevent to keep these trees around for decades to come.
And really, the future for you and all of the kids of your generation, it's going to be determined by what we choose to do today.
So it's really our responsibility to make sure they have.
All of ours, yes.
Okay guys, I hope you're paying attention because it's time for a quiz. Out of the 3 types of redwoods, which one lives the longest? Is it A, the coast redwood, B, the giant sequoia, or C, the dawn redwood? We'll have the answer later in the show.
How do you spend your summer vacation? These guys spent theirs at the beach, but they didn't like what they saw. Coming up, find out what these teens are doing to keep plastic out of the ocean.
Plus, we get the lowdown on ozone. What's going on up in our atmosphere? We talk to a NASA scientist to find out. More Eco Company is next.
A plastic bottle right there.
High five! Okay, so next up, Jessica visits a high school where students are taking aim against plastic in more ways than one.
We're about to meet a group of students who are on a mission to green up their school, and they got their inspiration from a place far from home, where they learned about the dangers of plastic.
What is plastic? This isn't your usual class lecture. These teachers are actually students. They're members of the Environmental Science Academy at Oakland High School in Northern California.
It's very fun. You learn about all sorts of things, everything about the environment. We go to the lake and study about the water.
Each week we do tests in the lake to make sure that the water is clean for the fish and the organisms.
Today, they're taking what they've learned and passing it on. And they've got a big message for their classmates, and that's to kick plastics to the curb.
A lot of people don't know about them. They think you just throw them away and they get recycled, and so we just want to bring more awareness to that.
These students didn't know how bad plastics were for the environment either, until a trip to Costa Rica opened their eyes.
We learned a lot about the environment, how our actions, plastic and stuff affects it.
10 students got the chance to head south, thanks to the AFAR Foundation and its partnership with the nonprofit organization Global Explorers. Laura Levinson is with AFAR.
We believe in the power of travel, so we wanted to extend that to the Learning AFAR program to send kids that would never normally be able to travel abroad on an educational trip.
It's a trip these guys won't forget.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you saw there?
Oh, we saw tons of things. We got to see iguanas and turtles laying eggs. They were huge and beautiful, and it was nice. It was fun. All types of insects, which I wasn't too fond of, but it was wonderful out there. It was kind of breathtaking. It was nice, though.
But not everything they saw made for a pretty picture. They found trash littering the beaches and a lot of plastic.
What did you learn about plastic out there?
We learned that it's forever. Forever, sadly, but it's forever. We saw little pieces of plastic that you don't know where they came from, and we learned a lot about the pollution that washed up on the beaches and things like that.
The tiniest pieces are called nurdles.
It's before plastic is made, it's pre-plastic. And those really have a big effect on the Costa Rican animals because they mistake them as fish eggs.
And then when they eat it, it doesn't digest or anything, so it just stays there. And then when it affects them, it affects us because we eat them too.
Animals consume them, they're forever, they don't break up. And it's our job to basically just prevent these animals from getting harmed by these plastics.
That job starts back at home, and these guys didn't waste any time springing into action. Besides giving presentations, they've re-energized their school's recycling program and launched a campaign to stop using plasticware and styrofoam on campus.
We started an event. It's called BYOFP, which is Bring Your Own Fork and Plate, where we basically promote the not using plastic and styrofoam for school lunches.
It's about minimizing the unnecessary plastics and trash that people use every day for no reason. When you can bring your own plate, bring your own Tupperware.
They're not just keeping it inside the classroom, they're also taking action out here, cleaning up their community one scoop at a time.
They're scooping up trash at a lake near their school. It ends up here after being carried through storm drains.
Storm drains are like horrible portals. They convert litter on the street to water pollution.
If it's not cleaned up, the next stop would be the ocean. Dr. Richard Bailey heads up the Lake Merritt Institute.
The United Nations estimates there are 46,000 pieces of plastic for every square mile of ocean. And 80% of it comes from the land. It washes in just like this. This is a tiny, small part of what's going on in every city around the world.
Not something anyone out here wants to see.
Right now we're trying to have our goal is to like clean the lake and like trying to preserve and make it better.
The environment this is basically, we live in it. So it's really important that we take care of what we live in.
So from spending their afternoon fishing out plastic, to encouraging their school to green up, and teaching classmates about the dangers of plastic pollution, these ESA students want to do their part to protect the marine ecosystem.
They've just blown me away with how they've implemented stuff that they've learned directly from the trip. They're talking to their peers about it, they're talking to their families about it. They're really trying to put everything that they learned into action at home. And it's been great to see them spread the word about the lessons that they've learned.
Sooner or later, our kids, our grandkids, whatever, they're gonna be here. And if the fish aren't here, we're not going to be here, period, because we eat fish and it just messes up the food chain. And if there's no food chain, there's no life.
In the beginning, I really didn't care, to be honest. I just didn't value the environment. But this trip definitely changed the way I saw things. It definitely got me thinking that the environment is really important, that these animals, they deserve to live. And it's definitely had a really big impact on me. It definitely changed the way I saw things.
Now this crew hopes they can help change others too.
Up next, ozone. What it is and why we should care about it. More Eco Company is next.
Okay guys, did you think about the answer to the quiz? The question was, out of the 3 types of redwoods, which one lives the longest? Is it A, the coast redwood, B, the giant sequoia, or C, the dawn redwood? The answer is B, the giant sequoia. One of these, the grizzly giant, is one of the oldest known living redwoods and is thought to be over 2,700 years old. It is located in Yosemite National Park in California. In general, these living giants can survive for more than 3,000 years.
It's time to open up the Eco-Lingo Dictionary to O for ozone. We all hear a lot about it, but what exactly is ozone? Ozone is a gas that's actually in 2 layers of our atmosphere. Ozone in the lower atmosphere is an air pollutant, or smog, which isn't good to breathe. But high up in the stratosphere is a different story. It forms a thin shield that protects Earth from the sun's ultraviolet rays. As NASA scientist Ed Olson explains, we need it to survive.
Ozone is really important to life on the Earth. It filters out the hard ultraviolet radiation that the sun emits. And if we did not have an ozone layer, life on the land would be impossible because the ultraviolet would just destroy everything.
In the 1980s, scientists discovered a big loss of ozone in the atmosphere, created by human activity. Should I be concerned that there's a hole in our ozone layer?
Well, we do have a hole in the ozone layer that opens up and closes in the South Pole, and that's natural. It's happened before, but it got bigger and bigger as we were pumping chlorofluorocarbons up in the atmosphere.
CFCs are used in aerosol sprays and to keep things cold. They contain chlorine, which breaks the ozone layer down. But an international agreement called the Montreal Protocol now limits the production of CFCs, so now we can all breathe a little easier. Ozone. Know your eco-lingo and be part of the solution.
Need some ideas to green up your school or neighborhood?
These guys have a few ideas to get you started.
Well, like every day I just try to be green, use less energy, take shorter showers, and I bike to school too, so that's just another way that I keep the environment safe and clean.
Yeah, one of the best ways to go green is decrease the amount of water you use.
What I do is I use reusable bags when I go grocery shopping.
What you can really make sure to do is just to not litter. Leave your stuff, leave everything you've been to how you left it.
Throw away your trash. It's really easy and definitely I know that our school has a lot of trash cans and I know public areas have a lot of trash cans, and please throw away your trash. Helps the environment.
If your campus is doing something to go green,
we want to hear about it.
Grab your video camera and start rolling.
Create a video and upload it to our website at eco-company.tv.
Our Earth is heating up because there's too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. One simple way to fight climate change is to plant trees. Trees store carbon and release oxygen. They also cool our neighborhood. Start a tree planting campaign at school, in your local park, or along the streets. Planting them is easy.
See, what we have to do is we have to mix in the compost with this dirt clay, because this dirt clay isn't very nutrient rich. Well, the compost provides a fair amount of nutrients for the tree. So that's why we mix them both together and plant them both together. And hopefully these trees will grow very strong.
Check out the Arbor Day Foundation to find out more about how to plant and care for trees in your community. Whatever you do, be eco-wise, then be a part of the solution.
Thanks for tuning in to Eco Company.
Be sure to check us out at eco-company.tv and fan us on Facebook.
We'll see you next time
on Eco Company.